ज्योतिष का ज्ञान यह रे रहस्य Astrology's knowledge deep as sea नक्षत्र कहानियाँ कहता यहाँ Constellations tell their stories to thee
This is Tony Victor, and welcome to the Astro Tarot Report for the week of January 13th, 2025. If you're not already familiar, my website is quicksilverastrology.com. The channel you're watching could either be Quicksilver Astrology on YouTube, or it could also be the GTR Slayer website, or excuse me, YouTube from back in the day. I still have that channel up. It's kind of being resurrected at this point. It has some meditation stuff on different types of yoga practices on there. Familiar with stuff like Raja Yoga, Kundalini. I talk about that on there. But yeah, mostly I'm trying to move everything to this channel, the Quicksilver Astrology one. But yeah, still enjoy the other one if you're already listening to this there. I will still keep the channel running for as long as I can. And yeah, so let's continue with the aspect report for this week. We have a lot of stuff. It's jam-packed. So January 13th, we'll start with that. Oh, and also please like, subscribe, and comment. I'm definitely want to have a dialogue with my listeners. And I appreciate the new subscribers. Please keep listening and keep watching for new content. There won't just be astrology on here. I do other stuff as well. Again, like yoga and meditational stuff. I talk about that. And you might even hear me mention some stuff about Solomonic practices as well. And with that being said, let's continue. Okay, January 13th. We're going to begin with Moon trine Saturn. And Moon's at 15 degrees of Cancer, and Saturn's at 15 degrees of Pisces, giving us the 8 of Cups and the 5 of Cups for degree placements. And with this, we're looking at the 8 of Pentacles kind of makes us want to leave something behind, travel. And then the 5 of Cups is kind of can be depressing. We can kind of want to leave things as well because of a depressing situation that's taking place. But it's easier for us to do. It's easy for us to leave this thing behind because it really brings us down and we're better off without it, whatever it is. We don't want it anymore. Yeah, the trine is kind of the silver lining to all this. And then we're going to kind of take the good away from the bad here. You see the 2 of Cups behind the gentleman in the dark cloak. So that's kind of what we're taking out of it. And if you know about the 2 of Cups, that is a healing card. Okay, so you see the 2 people together, one on either side. They're kind of giving a cheers to each other. And if you look further on the right of this chart, you'll see the example of the 2 of Cups there, way off to the right, with the lion coming out of the cups and the staff of Hermes that comes out of there as well. So yeah, when you look at the tarot, especially the Rider-Waite, I know other tarot sets are different. I like to use the Rider-Waite because it's very precise in terms of the symbolism that I looked at and have studied. Very hermetic, very, it's also Egyptian, it's Greek, especially very Greek. If you're into the Greek Eleusinian mysteries and the mythology of the Greeks, it's very Greek, and it works very well with understanding that system. And if you're not familiar with that, you can read up on it in my book, Tabernacle and the Body of God. I do talk about the tarot in that quite a bit and how it relates to the ancient Greek school of Eleusis, how they all tied together with stories from the Bible, how they're basically the same stories, and then how the symbolism of the tarot intertwines with that. A good read if you want to dive deep into the tarot and get some really good understanding on what it's all about and how it works with the school of initiation that existed back in, the ancient days of Eleusis. People from all over the world would go to the Greeks to be initiated in this school. Not just the Greeks themselves, but everywhere in the world. This is kind of like the follow-up to the ancient Egyptian mystery schools, and then this would have come later, of course. which probably was adapted after Alexander the Great conquered, most of that world back in the day. So this kind of would have been carried over, is my guess, from the ancient Egyptians and became the Greek school of Lucius at some point in time. That's my theory on that. But there's lots of theories on all that and how that happened. Continuing on, though, for our next aspect, we have Sun trine Uranus. And Sun is at 23 degrees of Capricorn, Uranus at 23 degrees of Taurus, giving us the Seven of Pentacles and the Ten of Pentacles. So, waiting on something to come to fruition. The Ten of Pentacles is about established structures, old money, old institutions, government. So, we're waiting to see how the tides turn in terms of some institutional proceedings, perhaps institutional processes. But then we have what's playing into that. The Sun is the center of focus. It can be about your job. So definitely could be very much work related. And especially since it's in Capricorn, I'd say it's probably likely related to a job situation, something at work, being that the Sun can be kind of your career, what it is that you do primarily. And then the Uranus coming in there along with the Sun, that's kind of unpredictable windfalls, unpredictable luck. Either it can be good or bad, depending. So hard to see how that's going to manifest, being as Uranus can be very unpredictable, of course. So we're going to leave it at that, some sort of potential work situation. Sun opposition Moon is the next aspect, which is our full moon in Cancer. And that happens the Sun is at 23 degrees of Capricorn. Moon is at 23 degrees of Cancer. And what do we have with these two? So Cancer being our water sign, Capricorn being our earth sign. We're looking at making mud now. So the Seven of Pentacles is, again, investing time in things, watching things for potential growth. Was it all worth it? And then you have the Seven of Cups. It could be about hopes and dreams in general, illusions. So they can end up being any one of those things. Your hopes and dreams could become something that ends up looking like it isn't going to happen anymore. It was just kind of wishful thinking. It could be that. A lot of different potential there. Things could go very well for you, but we don't really know. It's kind of, you have that, the Seven of Cups is kind of like throwing darts at a board or the roll of a dice. You have all those different cups that you're looking at. One is filled with this and another one is filled with that. All sorts of different things going on. And then the gentleman taking inventory of his harvest, that's kind of another thing we can consider too. Taking inventory of one's hopes and dreams. So, yeah, was it all worth it? Did I do what I wanted to? Did I do what I wanted to? Am I where I want to be? That's kind of how we look at Capricorn. Capricorn's that analytical side of our practical reality. We're trying to see if it was worth it for us. And Cancer's that very emotional look at the situation. And that's how we kind of get with the Seven of Cups there. It's the feeling about it. It's going to end up perhaps being more about the feelings for you guys, as well as the practical reality of it. That does come into play too, but it's a mix between the both. And because it's a opposition situation, you're going back and forth internally there, and you're just wondering if it is coming to fruition. And it could at this point in time. The dream could come true for you at this point. That is a possibility as well. So, our next aspect is a conjunction. Moon conjunct Mars. Moon at 26 degrees of Cancer, and Mars at 26 degrees of Cancer as well, giving us the Ten of Cups. So that seems like it could potentially be the best of both worlds. But Mars is also that the Tower card, which can shatter our hopes and dreams at times. So, it could be a dream and a hope that comes very quickly. That's also the influence of Mars there. The Tower card is that lightning bolt that strikes, and it can either give you what you want very quickly, or also take it away very quickly too. And that can be manifest also as a family situation. There is, a man and a woman in the car with his family there. The kids are dancing, they're happy. But are they? I don't know. It's hard to really say. The conjunction, it brings some interesting energy because it's kind of, it can be very rapid and very quick, and Mars can also be very destructive. It could also be maybe you decide to have a family. It could be that. So lots of particular things can happen with the Moon conjunct Mars here in this aspect. And then we're going to move on to our last aspect of this particular day on the 13th. We're looking at Moon trine Neptune. Moon's at 27 degrees of Cancer, and Neptune is at 27 degrees of Pisces, giving us the Two of Cups and the Eight of Cups. So the Two of Cups, as I mentioned earlier, can be a very healing card. It can be a card of relationships. Sticking with the process is the Eight of Cups, so you can be sticking with the relationship. But with that trine Neptune in there, trines are easy, and they're easygoing for us. The Neptune's very deeply emotional, so maybe it's something you're feeling particularly strongly at this point in time, especially since it's the Moon with Neptune. It can be taking a break together with someone else, enjoying their company. So there's that love relation energy that going on there. It can definitely be that. Neptune being the higher octave of Venus, can be very deep love. I do see that possibility with the Two of Cups, and that two is the Moon. And Moon can also be love too. It doesn't just have to be Venus. Moon could very much be about love, especially in this case. So there's a number of things that can happen here, but maybe in this case it is about love for you. It could very well be some sort of love situation. All right, so moving on to the 14th, Tuesday, Moon opposition Pluto. Moon at 1 degrees of Leo and Pluto at 1 degrees of Aquarius. And we've seen this aspect before. I believe we've seen these cards before pop up in this combination. Maybe not exactly this aspect, but we have seen them happen before. And it's the Six of Wands and the Six of Swords. So you could be leaving a situation behind of some sort, but you're holding your head high with the Six of Wands. So Six of Swords, you're not necessarily leaving with your tail dragging behind your legs, especially since you have the Six of Wands that goes along with this in this situation. And so Pluto in Aquarius, Pluto is, of course, one of those outer planet cards that affects most of us. It's not a personal planet, it's an outer planet. And then Aquarius is one of those signs which works in the same way, in which you're dealing with people collectively. Leo is very selfish, though. Leo is a selfish, not as a rule, but Leo can be a selfish type of thing. So considering self versus considering a collective is what I'm getting at here. And then you have that Moon, and Moon being in Leo, well, Moon where the sun should be. So that's an interesting energy, and that's kind of why I think that this is why we get the cards that we do here in terms of this energy. It's a push-pull interaction. You have that wanting to charge forward energy of Leo, which is this particular Wands card here of the Six of Wands, where the Moon sits. But then that air card, the Six of Swords in Aquarius, that Pluto energy, it just wants to transform a situation. Or just Pluto's one of those cards one of those planets that blows things up in a manner of speaking. It brings something to an end very quickly. Or I should actually say, Pluto is a very slow planet. However, when it does manifest, it can manifest very quickly, like Mars. And I would say that Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. Pluto rules over the sign of Scorpio, speaking in terms of modern astrology, whereas in old world astrology, ancient astrology, you had Mars that ruled over Scorpio. So Mars versus Pluto, and yet they're very similar in terms of they can make things happen quickly or appear that it's quickly, rather speaking in the situation of Pluto. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next aspect, which is our last aspect for the 14th. We have Venus square Jupiter. Okay, so Venus and Jupiter, I mean, they tend to work together very well. However, this is a square. Venus sitting at 11 degrees of Pisces and Jupiter 11 degrees of Gemini. Okay, so, right off the bat, I kind of get a sense that this can affect mental health, perhaps. And the reason I'm saying that is because we have Gemini, which can be very mental, and then you have Jupiter, which is a card of health, but then you also have Pisces, which can be considered related to health, and Pisces can also be about severe illness. It just depends on the situation, but because it's a square, because Jupiter's involved, and because Gemini is involved, I see it related to some sort of mental illness, and it could be centered around something of a love situation. Maybe it can be an obsession type of situation. So some sort of a mental obsession with something, which is an interesting combination and an interesting aspect to talk about in terms of doing a collective reading as a horoscope for people. But it could be some sort of obsession that people have with something or someone. It doesn't have to be a person. I definitely could see that as a possibility. And it's interesting how that all comes together as that. But then we're looking at the 10 of Cups and the 10 of Swords. So we weren't even looking at those cards when I gave that particular type of possible interpretation. But the 10 of Cups is about fulfillment, hopes and dreams, culmination of the hopes and dreams, manifestation too. And then the 10 of Swords is the end of something. So it could be the end of a hope and dream. And we've also seen that play out in kind of different ways here, like with a full moon and Cancer type of situation. So this could be a continuation of that in a different way. Okay. Kind of a similar type of energy, but playing out, and perhaps it's something related to that, or it could be a separate situation. But the 10 of Swords, it just tends to bring an end to things. But then, we don't always have to see the negative in things. There could be a positive in this, being the fact that it is Jupiter and the fact that it is Venus. So maybe you're happy that something's finally over. It could be that too. That could be the positive to take out of that particular aspect. And then we're moving on to January 15th. Sun opposition Mars, giving us the 10 of Pentacles and 10 of Cups. And that degree placement happens at the 26th degree of Capricorn, where the Sun sits, and Mars would be sitting at the 26th degree of Cancer. Mars does not like to be in Cancer, folks. And then the Sun in Capricorn. Let's see what we get here. So for those aspects, we're looking at the 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups. So this is very, very much family-oriented here with the 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups. We've already talked about both of them in terms of family in the past. Again, 10 of Cups, hopes, dreams, manifestation of family situations. So it could have to do with family wealth. And the fact that it's Sun opposition Mars, it could also be a situation where you're choosing some sort of family choice versus a monetary choice. Okay, maybe it's, will I leave money to my nephew, or will I leave money to my brother? Will I leave money to somebody in the family or not? It could be that. Sun opposition Mars. The Mars aspect is that quick, forceful energy. And then it could end up being something turning into a situation with anger, because Mars does not like to be in Cancer. As I've said, Cancer is a water sign, and Mars is not a watery planet at all. It's a very dry and hot planet. It can make Cancer boil over with anger. So that's a very big possibility, and maybe end up making a decision monetarily based on your emotions with that Mars energy there. And it may not be a good decision for other people, but hey, that's what you decide to do because you made a decision based on your emotions. It could be that. Let's move on to onto the next aspect here. Looking at Moon square Uranus. Moon's at 23 degrees of Leo. Uranus is at 23 degrees of Taurus. And with this, we end up having the 10 of Wands, and again, the 10 of Pentacles shows up in this aspect here. So with this, it's a square. We got some squares this week, it looks like, and some oppositions. Moon 23 degrees Leo, Uranus 23 degrees Taurus. And Uranus is that unpredictable planet. And it comes at that 10 of Pentacles there, where that's the institutions, that's government institutions, that's jobs, that's organizations in general. So instability there, okay? Uranus makes things unstable. And the 10 of Wands is carrying something to the end. A heavy burden is being carried into the end. So I feel like this is a situation where, emotionally speaking, one is going to end up being happy that it's over and done with. Well, maybe not happy because of the square, but something will be over and done with. It could be a job or a project that you're carrying to the finish line. So one way or another, it looks like it's going to be finished. It's going to be done. A major project, a major obstacle can be taken out of the way. With Uranus, hey, it could end up being good because Uranus can end up being about boons as well. That positive luck, it could be that way. So hey, it's always possible. Moving on. There are no aspects for the 16th that we'll be looking at. But the 17th, there are 4 different aspects. First one is Moon square Jupiter. Moon's 11 degrees of Virgo, and Jupiter's at 11 degrees of Gemini. Okay, so Jupiter and Gemini, again, big thoughts in a big way. And we have the 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of Swords. Okay, so that could be the end of a job there. Being that it's a 10 of Swords, it's the culmination of something in not a good way necessarily, or you're just glad that it's over with. Again, it kind of looks the same in a way to the last aspect we just looked at for the 15th with the 10 of Wands and the 10 of Pentacles there. Something's getting over and done with. That's 10s in general in the tarot. Or it could be the end of an organization or institution. Some institution decides to close its doors. I definitely see that. So keep your eyes on the world stage and how that's going to manifest there. And I just want to state, since we're talking about the world stage, I ended up doing kind of a weekly, I did a past review for this recent week, and ended up seeing a number of things in the news that tied in very well with the last readings I did. And it's very interesting to see all these different cards play out in terms of the symbolism. It's like you look at these cards and you're like, wow, that describes this event to a T. Even the numbers of people that are involved. You know, it could be like the three of Pentacles came up in a particular reading, and I'll have to talk about that. I'm going to have to make a separate video. There's not a lot that I want to talk about, but I did want to cover it because it ends up showing how these cards are so important in terms of not just what they mean, but their symbolism too. The symbolism, of course, affects how and what they are when you give the interpretations. But sometimes it ends up being very literally the image that's on the card. It can be that very easily. It's very spooky how that happens sometimes. But then it also kind of just makes us all think this is really just one big machine or some sort of simulation, which in a manner of speaking, I would say that it is. But that's definitely a conversation for another time. And yeah, I just wanted to mention that because if I put that together for a separate video, I think it will kind of give some credence to the system here that I've developed and show its importance for its future use and how it can help people determine possible outcomes. So yeah, it's a very good system that has definitely been very fruitful in terms of how it can manifest and personal choices that one can make to make the situations better given the options of the energy available to them. And that's also the importance of tarot, because things aren't set. You have an opportunity to transform that energy, and That's what being a quote unquote magician is all about. That's what key one of the tarot is about. The magician transforms energy consciously. And that is the art of yoga too, by the way, coincidentally, as it were. Transforming energy consciously. Let's go with, and that's not the actual meaning of yoga. Yoga means union, but union with what, right? What type of energies are we coming into union with? We just did the Ten of Pentacles and the Ten of Swords. So now the next aspect is Moon trine Mercury, Moon at 13 degrees of Virgo, Mercury at 13 degrees of Capricorn. Okay, so Virgo and Capricorn, both very work-oriented, both very serious-oriented types of individuals in terms of signs. Moon and Mercury together, Mercury puts that energy into something and Moon receives that energy. And so we have the Three of Pentacles and the Six of Pentacles. And I did an aspect about this last week, and this is actually the aspect I just mentioned, that there was something that came to fruition in terms of the world stage. Not anything that's great or super significant for us all, but it is interesting what I had noticed, that there was sort of a payout that happened to employees. They got a raise, and there was 3 individuals that ended up getting a promotion, in a sense, in this construction company. It's, not really big news for us. However, it's interesting, again, how this plays out on the world stage and what the symbols actually mean. So you have, and again, it could very much be a similar situation. Someone's building something, someone's receiving a paycheck, someone's planning something, orders are being taken, orders are being given, assistance is being given. And you see the scales of balance, which are related to Libra in the Six of Pentacles. It can be handouts, government handouts. It can be government assistance. We covered this last week. It's the same exact energies between these two cards. The planets can always be different in how these manifest, but at the end of it all, it waters down to 2 cards coming together to blend these energies together. And it's very monetary, perhaps, with that Mercury energy, especially Mercury in Capricorn. It's Capricorn communicating. It's that worker. It's that energy of drive. Mercury can drive Capricorn to complete tasks. And that's kind of helpful for Capricorn energy there. And the next aspect on the 17th, we're looking at Moon opposition Venus. Okay, so another opposition. We have all sorts of oppositions this week, it seems like. Moon at 14 degrees of Virgo and Venus at 14 degrees of Pisces. A very watery, emotional energy kind of going around here. Giving us the Four of Pentacles and the Four of Cups. And this is interesting because we're tired of something and yet we want more of it. It's that opposition feeling. We're at odds with our emotions for sure on this one here. I want more, but I've taken too much and I don't want any more now. So yeah, that can be about addictions here. And Venus is about devotion. So it's a very devoted addiction, perhaps, what it ends up being. It could be that for people. Not that it has to be about addiction, but it's something you're very emotionally involved in that you may not want to give up, and you've had enough. It's kind of, it could be a can't live with them, can't live without them type situation. That probably describes this aspect perfectly, I would say. Can't live with them, can't live without them. That is Moon opposition Venus in this particular case. And then we have our next aspect, last one for this particular day, Moon opposition Saturn, another opposition. We have Moon at 15 degrees of Virgo and Saturn at 15 degrees of Pisces. So Saturn in Pisces, Saturn is solid, whereas Pisces is dissolving. So something solid may be dissolving. And I'm not looking at the aspects yet. I'm just kind of going what I see in order of how I see it. And Moon is at 15 degrees of Virgo. And so what are we getting at here with the Five of Pentacles and the Five of Cups? Well, Five of Pentacles can be about illness. It can be about good for love, but not good for money. Five of Cups can be about kicking over things in anger or feeling desperate, feeling alone, feeling a sense of mourning, depressed. So it could be some sort of long-term depressing illness, especially with Saturn and Pisces. It could be that. I think that's more the case. There's some sort of long-term depression, long-term health situation that's been going on. That could be definitely possible. And now you have both Virgo and Pisces. So maybe one illness is kind of conflicting with another. It's causing more problems. It could be that. Or maybe it's you're torn between something you know that's going to make you unhealthy. And it's kind of, it's a lose-lose situation is how I see this. Or another thing is you could be giving something up in order to get healthier. And you're very disappointed and sad because you have to give it up. That's kind of perhaps for somebody that has diabetes or on the verge of the cusp of having diabetes, it could be something like that. But I do see this as very much health related, being as we're talking about Saturn, Pisces, and Virgo. Oh, and the moon too. So the moon kind of in this case can be a very personal planet and affect your health because the moon kind of tends to take on the energy of where it moves through, of course. The moon is kind of the receiving energy, whereas the sun is giving. So the moon takes and the sun gives. So, yeah, that's how I look at that aspect. It's not a very good one. At least it's not a square. If you make the right moves, you can avert a personal health situation, a personal health crisis. But it's something that's been perhaps nagging you for a long time, and it needs your attention. Okay, just now that we've finished that, on the 17th, we'll be moving to the 18th. A lot of information to cover here, folks, today. I'm going to try and move through it, try and get through this now. Okay, so the 18th here, we're looking at Moon trine Uranus. Thank goodness we have a trine. A lot of squares, a lot of oppositions this week. Moon 23 degrees Virgo, Uranus 23 degrees Taurus. Okay, so hey, Uranus though, again, instability in Taurus, but it is a trine, and Moon is in Virgo, so let's see where it ends up being. Four of Pentacles and the Ten of Pentacles are how this energy is manifested. And the Four of Pentacles, in this case, I think it's about investments, and especially with the Ten of Pentacles, it's some large-scale investment related to that. So here's a good day for monetary concerns. It could be that. Oh, and then again, it's kind of a double doozy because we have a Sun trine Moon situation on that day too that brings those same exact cards into energy. So financial situations on that day look very positive. And four is about maintaining wealth, not necessarily hoarding wealth. It could be that. You could definitely be stuffing money in a mattress or in your safe. It could be about that. Watch the news on that day. See what happens with the money on that day. Take a look and find out. That'll probably be very interesting, especially since we have two aspects that give us the very same exact card reading, pretty much. Not exactly considering the planets, but considering the degrees themselves and where they end up being. So yeah, institutions. So banks, watch the news for the banks. I bet you'll see something coming out on that day about them. But probably going to be good news. I don't think it's anything bad. Either that or someone just gets very greedy and they could, well, they might take it for themselves. So that could be something that ends up being in the news. I could definitely see something like that happening. Maybe somebody gets caught embezzling money. That could happen too. Um, but being that it's a trine, hey, there can be too much of a good thing, right? So maybe they get greedy and they get caught being greedy. Um, so next aspect, on January 18th, we have another opposition. Hey, Moon opposite Neptune. Moon at 27 degrees of Virgo and Neptune at 27 degrees of Pisces, giving us the Eight of Pentacles and the Eight of Cups. So work situations, Eight of Cups and Virgo, that's hard work right there. We're putting our emotions into our work, that's the Moon, and we're working tirelessly here until we're ready to move on to something else. Or we're sticking with the process. Maybe it's something we're crafting. We've been working on it for a long time. We'd like to finish it, but maybe it's not quite done yet. Neptune and Pisces, again, very emotional for us. This project, we're putting our heart and soul into completing it. That's what's going on right now on the 18th. Next aspect, Venus conjunct Saturn. Venus at 16 degrees of Pisces. Saturn at 16 degrees of Pisces. Again, conjunction, of course. So same degree. Giving us the Six of Cups. Something from the past. Moon in Virgo and Neptune in Pisces. So what does this mean? Neptune in Pisces, very emotional, deeply emotional. That Venus energy, that higher octave of Venus energy. So it's an old relationship, perhaps. It doesn't have to be an old relationship, but it's something from the past. That Six of Cups. And it's can be tied to romanticism. It can be an act of loving kindness to wanting to give something to somebody or take something from somebody, but it's not taking it from them in a bad way. They're offering it to you. And it could be that, definitely. And Virgo has a tendency to want to nurture. Virgo can also be kind of that motherly energy. And then the Moon also in there too, the High Priestess. So some sort of energy in which it's a matronly energy is what I'm seeing going on here. So it could be a mother and child type situation where the mother is giving something to their children to support them. Either, it can be anything. What does a mother give to their child? Whatever it is, they should hopefully be grateful for it, I guess, right? The next thing we're going to be looking at is, oh, I'm sorry. I totally said the wrong thing here. I meant to say Venus and Saturn. I apologize. But however, the Six of Cups still ends up manifesting in the same way. It could very much be that. Moon is still in Virgo here. And let's back it up a little bit. I'm getting all over myself. I'm trying to do this all in one go here and making mistakes if I do it in one go. But Venus, it can be that, like I said, that matronly energy. It can be the mother or it can be a relationship. So we're not exactly changing what we said here. And Saturn is something long-term and from the past. So we're still correct here in what it could be. I just said the wrong planets, Moon and Neptune. However, Venus, again, is still very much related to Neptune. Like I said, Neptune is that higher octave of Venus. And then Saturn is that long-term thing. Saturn is kind of one of those things that stands the test of time. That can be a mother-child relationship. It could also be a relationship to an old boyfriend, old girlfriend. It could be that too. So it wasn't completely off there anyhow. We were in the same neighborhood, if nothing else. Sun trine Moon is the next aspect. The last aspect for the 18th. Sun is at 29 degrees of Capricorn and Moon is at 29 degrees of Virgo. So Moon is moving out of Virgo and the Sun is moving out of Capricorn. So they're right at the end there. And the aspect that we end up getting is, again, the Four of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles. So what did I say before about the banks? Same type of situation. Watch out for that. Sun in Capricorn. So, yeah, Sun in Capricorn. I see that Capricorn can be kind of greedy sometimes. Okay, it happens. It does. So it can definitely be that Four of Pentacles card. That's what I see there. Very much so an aspect of Capricorn. And then you have the Ten of Pentacles for Virgo. So something, again, standing the test of time. That's the 10 energy is old money, old values. But with the Capricorn here, yeah, that I would say that's kind of it could be greedy banks. Like I said, it could be that. I'm sticking to that. I'm seeing something like that possibly happening in the news or something similar. Maybe not exactly that, but it could be related to financial institutions. You may be likely to see something happening on that day related to that. All right, we've made it to the 19th. Just two more aspects to look at. We are getting Moon trine Pluto. Moon is at 1 degrees of Libra, and Pluto is at 1 degrees of Aquarius, giving us the Three of Swords and the Six of Swords. Three of Swords, not a good card, but it is a trine, so you're happy about leaving behind some sort of pain and suffering. So maybe getting over something that's been bothering you in terms of some sort of physical pain. You know, that can definitely be about that with the Three of Swords. And the Moon is something that kind of is a transitional thing. So it may have been going on for a little bit of time, but the Moon does move very quickly, and it's something that you can get over quickly. The Pluto, though, however, in Aquarius, it's something that affects us all. So it can be some sort of pain and suffering that we're all experiencing on a different level. So it's not necessarily personal, but it's also very public. So not necessarily public in the sense that your personal pain becomes public to others for some sort of reason. Maybe everyone knows you stubbed your toe. You stubbed your toe at work and you say, "Oh, I stubbed my toe." Yeah, so whatever, very dumb stuff. It could end up being very stupid. But it could end up being more than that, though. You know, it's that three of swords it can be shared pain, okay? It's not just one person, two people. Three or more is when you get a crowd, right? And that's Aquarius is the crowd. Six of Swords, leaving behind things. So, being that it's a trine, you're able to leave something together. So it's a pain that's perhaps not been there too long with the Moon, but Pluto is one of those cards that's a longer haul. It's takes a while to transform and change. So I'm kind of at a loss here for what that could be, because what's on the collective stage, you know, that's been affecting us for a long time. That in terms of really, I would say it could be, being that Pluto is has moved out of Capricorn into Aquarius. This is breaking down large scale structures. So I think it could be, in terms of the pain of the structures we've been experiencing, the way that things have been structured, and leaving that behind together for something better. I think that's a very positive way to look at this, and I think that that's what I'm hoping it is that collectively we're leaving behind the suffering of old structures. That makes more sense to me, and I guess not really at a loss in that, because that's kind of easy to see, because the way we've all been living for a long time has been very painful for us and has not been working collectively on a spiritual level. It doesn't work for us because, well, we look at the world and guess what? It's full of pain, suffering, sorrow, and misery. And that is the Three of Swords. So I really do hope we find a way to move past that together. Bless us all, and I hope we do for sure. And then our last aspect is another trine, and this is Moon trine Jupiter. Moon at 11 degrees of Libra, Jupiter at 11 degrees of Gemini, and that gives us the Four of Swords and the Ten of Swords. So generally speaking, together these cards are not very good. However, with the trine, it gives us a positive outlook on things. Gemini is that mental card. Jupiter is the card that makes things bigger and concerns health, wealth. And then Libra is kind of making decisions, going, one way, that way, and maybe the other. I don't know. I can't make a decision. That's also Libra too. And Moon rolling through there it very much tied to the emotional way that Libra feels and making decisions on an emotional level is what I would just say there. So, but with the Four of Swords and the Ten of Swords, something is over and we get to relax. Now, finally, we get to relax. After whatever it is that's been bothering us is finally over and done with. And Jupiter's there. So Jupiter's affecting us mentally. In a good way in this case, so because we can feel at ease mentally, and there's not going to be a lot that's weighing us down in terms of the mental internal considerations that we might have about particular things. So that I see is a big positive, a big plus. So that does it. We've actually come to the end, and it's been a little bit longer report than normal. But please like, subscribe, and have a dialogue with me. Add your comments, suggestions. What would you like to see in the future, in future reports? Any suggestions you might have, please feel free to offer them. This is a newer project that I've been working on, developing this weekly horoscope report. But I'm going to leave it at that. Hope you all enjoyed. See you next week. Bye-bye.
ज्योतिष का ज्ञान यह रे रहस्य Astrology's knowledge deep as sea नक्षत्र कहानियाँ कहता यहाँ Constellations tell their stories to thee कुंडलिनी जगाओ आत्मा जागृत करो Awaken Kundalini, let your spirit rise ऊर्जा भीतर से बहती है Energy flows from deep inside